I call this meeting of the City Commission Tuesday, January 26, 2021 to order. Will you please join me in the flag salute? Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, I'm going to recognize the pastor to give us a blessing.
Good evening. May we bow. Holy Father, we ask your blessings upon this time that we gather together to discuss the future and the present time of our city, and ask you your blessings upon our commissioners. Give them wisdom and guidance, and also bless our administrators and all the workers for the city. May we continue to work together in peace and harmony and make Pittsburgh a great place for all of us. Lord, thank you, and we ask you to hear this, our prayer. Amen.
Amen. Thank you.
Chuck, Mayor, I'd like to clarify something from our last meeting.
Sure.
So you and I had an exchange about public comments, changing our practice. And you made the comment, I'll do what I think is right as mayor, as you did, your decision as mayor. And that's not really factually true. If I could take my colleagues back to a year ago, when I was seated as mayor, I provided a written document on discussion areas for how we would maybe move forward in our meetings. And at that, our first night together, we kind of had a moment about public comments, and we decided that night to talk about that at the work session, which was scheduled for January 25th. So I brought that document back, and at that time, there weren't 3 commissioners that said, let's change how we do public comments. So we proceeded on how we had been doing public comments, which is not really engaging, but maybe talking about it at the end and adding it later as an agenda item. So, and I did that because I felt that as the mayor's role, being elected by the 5 of us, it was the responsibility to facilitate the meetings and represent the 5 of us, and I wanted input. So I guess I'm asking Chuck, if you would like to recommend changing how we do public input, I would respectfully like to ask that maybe it can be a future agenda item and we can all have input into that.
Well, I just feel like the stuff you provided was just a guideline on how we do public input. Is it an ordinance? That's how we are supposed to do it?
No, what I'm saying is that you left me with the impression that you thought that I just arbitrarily said we were going to do this. What I'm trying to say is that I had engaged all of us in that conversation. So if you are wanting to change our past practice, which we've done for the last 3 years, I would respectfully ask that you engage us in that discussion so that we as a group can decide how we want the meetings to go forward and give you the ability to facilitate representing all of us.
Sure, I have no problem with that, but actually how this all started was we had a commission meeting, and at some point we took a break, and you had your paperwork laid before us when we came back to our desk on how it was going to be. I don't ever remember voting in favor of this.
We didn't vote. We talked about it at the work session, and it says on this, and I have a copy of it, discussion. It wasn't, this is how it's.
Okay, then, I guess for now, if we want to discuss that at a work session, we can.
Well, that will be in May, but.
Do what?
That will be in May.
Yeah.
Yeah, so.
But until then, I guess, is there an issue with what happened at the last meeting?
It's just a change in our practice, and I feel that since this is our meeting, if we're going to change a practice, that we should have the opportunity to talk about it as a group.
I understand how you feel, but until you change that, the meetings we had before you were elected, we were allowed to have a conversation with anyone that came to public input, and I was just going on how it was. I understand you wanted something different, but I didn't really see an issue with how it was before.
I don't remember it being that way before, I'm sorry. I thought we always held off interaction with public input until the end of the meeting. I don't remember us engaging the citizens that come forward at that time.
Well, I don't know how to respond to that, Patrick. All I am saying is we had people come forward here recently dealing with a subdivision in their neighborhood, and even one before that, dealing with a subdivision in their neighborhood. They come to public input, and the commissioners that wanted to asked them questions, and there was nothing at the end of the meeting, especially the most recent one. And I know you was one of the ones that asked questions to the people that came in to speak about it in public input. So, you know, let's just keep it the same. If we're going to let some people come forward in public input and we address their questions and ask their concerns, let's do it the same for everyone that has public input. Let's engage, ask questions. It didn't take 5 minutes, and I don't think it lengthened the meeting any. They have some things that they want to bring up. They want us to ask questions. I know, you know, putting them off to the end of the meeting is kind of inconvenient for them. So, you know, that's my thoughts. I don't know what the rest of your thoughts are, but that's how we did it recently. We engaged people in the neighborhood when they come with their public input.
Well, for clarification, if you're talking about Deer Run,
Exactly what I was talking about, yes.
we kind of reopened the conversation later in the meeting. We deliberately did that so that they could have an avenue to talk. So, and my point isn't that it has to stay the same. My point is that this is our meeting and that we should have some input if we're going to change our process. So, you know, we can put it on the agenda item. You can continue to do what you want. And if somebody decides it's not how, we can make a motion. You know, it's just really the opportunity to talk about it as the 5 commissioners, as this is a commission meeting.
Okay, when we changed it, it was in our work study session, you
In
said?
January.
Okay.
We didn't change it.
Well,
We didn't change it.
yeah, I remember as a commissioner that I engaged people that came forward to talk to public input.
Well, you might have done that, but the 3 years I've been sitting here, we haven't done that, so.
Because you wanted it changed. But before that,
You
we,
were only mayor for 1 year.
who?
Me.
No,
Right. And she changed it then.
I did not
No.
change it.
it wasn't that way when I was a mayor, I don't
Well,
believe.
it was when I was the first time. It was when Michael Gray was here. It was when John Ketterman was here. So, you know, I don't know how we need, you know, if that's what you want to do, we can talk about it in May or March. But until then, is there an issue having a interaction right now until we discuss it in our work study in March?
Well, that's fine, and if one of us decides that it needs to be an agenda item before then, we'll just we'll request that it be an agenda item. So.
Fine. Anybody else want to comment? All right, thank you, Don. Moving on the consent agenda, are there any items that need to be removed? I would like to remove item D, but before we get to item D, I'd like to vote on the rest of the agenda, consent agenda. Item A, approval of January 12th, 2021 City Commission meeting minutes. Item B, approval of the request submitted by Angie Hadley, Program Coordinator for the Restorative Justice Authority of Crawford County, to reappoint Stacy Kratz to an additional 3-year term as a member of the Juvenile Correction Advisory Board. Item C, approval of application submitted by Casey's Retail Company, Casey's General Store, 2520 South Broadway, to cereal malt beverages for the year 2021 and direct the city clerk to issue the license. And item E, approval of the appropriation ordinances for the period ending January 26, 2021, subject to the release of HUD expenditures when funds are covered. Roll call vote.
I move approval of consent agenda.
I second.
Roll call vote.
Brooks,
Yes.
Fields.
Yes.
McNay.
Yes.
Munsell.
Yes.
O'Brien.
Yes.
Item D, approval of Economic Development Advisory Committee recommendation to forgive $60,000 of the $300,000 loan that was provided to Pitt State University Foundation to support the build-out of the Block 22 restaurant and retail space, as they have fully complied with the city's requirements for loan forgiveness, and to authorize the mayor to sign the appropriate documents on behalf of the city. I have no questions about that, Blake, sorry, but I voted not to approve that. On March 23rd, 2018, the Pittsburgh City Commission approved a request from the Pittsburgh State University Foundation to provide a forgivable loan in the amount of $300,000 to support the build-out of Block 22 restaurant retail space. And as I said, I voted against that. I believe a forgivable loan is unfair to other restaurants and retail businesses located in this area, and that's why I voted against the forgivable. I would have been in favor of a no-interest, low-interest, repayable loan. So, is there any other questions regarding that item?
I move approval of the EDAC.
Been moved by Dawn, seconded
I'll second it.
by Patrick. All in favor, say aye.
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 All opposed, same sign. Aye. Motion carried. Thank you. Special presentation, Economic Development Quarterly Report. Director of Economic Development, Blake Benson, and Pittsburgh State University Chief Strategy Officer, Sean Nacarado, will present the Quarterly Economic Development Report.
All right, thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of the commission. I think I can speak for Sean and his team member, Daryl Pulliam, who couldn't be here tonight, but is really one of Pitt State's leads on economic development. That it's been a pleasure to serve on the city economic development team. For us at the chamber, this marks, it's hard to believe, 8 years of serving, working with the city in terms of economic development, and I believe the 5th year that Pittsburgh State University and Sean's division has been a part of this economic development team. And I really do think it's one of the big reasons that our community is able to do a lot of the things that communities our size typically are not able to. So we're here tonight to give you a little bit of an update of our activities over the last year. Sean, before we get started, anything to add?
I just want to add really quickly that this has been a pleasure for the 5 of the 8 years that Blake and the Chamber have been involved. The 5 years that we've been involved working with the Chamber has been exceptional. I do believe that we are a model for other communities our size, and there are a lot of folks in this state who are envious of the relationship that we have with the city and the way that we're approaching this in a collaborative fashion. And so I wanted to give a shout out to Blake and his team, but also thank the 5 of you for the support that you've given for a very innovative approach to economic development.
And obviously, it goes without saying that we work hand in hand with Darren and his team at the city to carry out all of our activities. So again, thank you for that opportunity. Before we get into our activities specifically, just some numbers I thought that the folks at home would enjoy about our local economy. First of all, our unemployment rate, that's a number that gets a lot of attention. You'll see back in March, we were at a 20-year low in terms of an unemployment rate. Basically overnight with COVID, we jumped up to 9%, but the brand new unemployment numbers that just came out yesterday, we're back down to 3.5%. So at the tail end, well, hopefully the tail end of a pandemic, I think 3.5% is something that you all should be proud of, because it speaks well of our local economy. And when you compare that to the national economy, you can see how bad things got back in April. Even though they have retreated, our local unemployment rate is still about half of the national average, which again speaks well for us. And one other set of numbers that I found earlier today that's interesting. The labor force, year over year, December of last year to December of this year, the labor force increased and the number of people working increased by close to 700. That's a big jump for a community of our size. So hopefully that trend is sustained. and obviously speaks very well for our economy. I will say for the unemployment rate, we typically do see it jump back up a little bit in January and February because some of the seasonal workers in December won't be working, so that probably will go back up to the fours, probably mid-fours, but then tends to start going back down in probably late February, early March. Some other numbers, the per capita income and commercial building permit information. That's from Michael Davidson's presentation that he gave you back in November, but I thought it was worth repeating because it shows that, again, we're headed in the right direction as a community. Certainly don't think that we are there yet, but going in the right direction. And then that employer sentiment survey that we conducted last fall, where we asked employers what their staffing plans were moving on into the future. 2/3 of them said that they intended to add additional employees in 2021. The other third said that they would probably just remain consistent, and none replied that they had concrete plans to reduce staff in 2021. So again, hopefully good news for our community and our economy. Okay, so let's dive into what our teams in cooperation with the city team have been doing. We've had a lot of opportunity for outreach and assistance with our local businesses, particularly given the pandemic. So Sean, if you want to fill us in maybe on the Small Business Development Center activity.
Yeah, thank you, Blake. We've had a very busy year plus in the small business development area. Obviously, as you think about each of these stimulus bills that were passed, they all had some small business component. Having professionals within our team who are examining all of those aspects of those bills, but also then able to transmit that to clients, has been exceptionally important as we've weathered and tried to work toward a recovery here. You see there in the last quarter, or in 2020, 80 unique client visits for the Small Business Development Center, 450 hours assisting small business. That's just in Pittsburgh. There's more obviously within the county and throughout the region, but we wanted to make sure that we're honing in on what is the Pittsburgh impact. Randy Robinson, who is sort of the lead of all of those efforts, he and his team have done exceptional work for us from the university standpoint. But then also I will say, and this is a good time to turn it over as we transition back to Blake's side of things, this area of small business interaction is probably the area that we work the most closely in on a regular basis because of both of us having a scope of responsibility that includes expansion of existing businesses. And so Blake and the work the Chamber has been doing all of the time under his leadership and the exceptional relationships that they have with existing businesses has been very helpful for us from the standpoint of he can give us an entree often into businesses that otherwise may not want to meet with us because they might, for whatever myriad of reasons, be concerned or suspicious. He's helped with that a lot. And then I hope that we've been assisted to he and his team as they find businesses who need help, they will forward those to us. So there's a great synergy there, and probably it's exhibited more here than anywhere else, and that's in the help for existing small businesses, which is a significant priority for all of us.
Yeah. And Randy Robinson and Daisha Clark at the Small Business Development Center do an incredible job. They, along with our local banks, really worked with local especially small businesses, but really all businesses on programs like the Paycheck Protection Program. A lot of people don't realize that just Pittsburgh businesses alone received $20 million in paycheck protection assistance in 2020. That supported 2,000 local jobs. That was a lot of money in our community that really helped stave off probably some local layoffs and also helped keep business spending up where it needed to be. So big hats off to them for working through or working with our local businesses through that. The picture there is a great example of our teamwork approach. That's Randy Robinson and myself doing a Facebook Live event utilizing the city's marketing team. Sarah Runyon is the one that set this up, and I believe Cody was the one doing the videography. But we utilized every opportunity we could to make sure that every business in our community knew what was out there to help them through the pandemic. And again, just a great example of our cooperation.
One thing I might mention too on the small business side of things, just because I want to make sure that it's highlighted, is that we in the last year to 18 months have secured additional statewide scope of contract with the state SBDC. One for a statewide call and text center that we now have right here in Pittsburgh and Pittsburgh State because of that contract. And then number two, we are now leading marketing for the entire Kansas State Small Business Development Center. that would not have been possible but for this sort of innovative approach that we've been taking, which is seen as a model now. And so that's just one more example of the sort of growth that's happened because of us taking an innovative approach in Pittsburgh.
And as you know, in our scope of work, you list a certain number of business contacts. We tracked our contacts throughout the year and recorded over 300 meaningful contacts with local businesses. Now, some of those were full-fledged sit-down, hour-long or so meetings about, okay, what are your future plans? Is there anything we can do to help? More often than not, that occurs with our large manufacturers that you can't just walk in off the street necessarily. But as far as what a meaningful contact is, that's more than a just, hey, how you doing? We reached out to them. They contacted us for information. We saw them at a networking event or whatever the case is and had the opportunity to visit with them about their business and obviously anything that the city, the university, or the chamber could do to help. Something else, the Pittsburgh Strong campaign in April of last year, we were pleased to join with Jake's Fireworks on an effort that raised $70,000 for local small businesses. We sold sponsorships for shirts. We got 7,000 shirts, donated those shirts to small businesses that they could sell for $10 and keep 100% of the proceeds. And so we raised $70,000. And in typical Pittsburgh fashion, we had a lot of small businesses that I'm sure could have used the money themselves, but we saw them donating it to fellow small businesses. So that's just something else that makes our community so special. And then a few weeks after that, in late April, early May, when it was hard to find face masks, you remember, that doesn't seem like that long ago, but it was really hard to find face masks. Miller's and U.S. Awards donated 7,000 face masks for local employers. We were involved in making sure that those got to the businesses and the employers. Actually, the first order went to the city for their employees as well. So we're just very blessed to have companies like Miller's, U.S. Awards, Jake's Fireworks for their support of the community. But that was one more thing we did in 2020. Some additional outreach.
One of the things that the pandemic has actually enabled was ideas such as Around the Block podcast, which is the podcast for Block 22, that Brett Dalton and myself, he's our kind of strategic communication lead for Block 22. He and I have been talking about this for several years, and having the time at home to work from home probably allowed us the time to actually launch this. And so what we're hopeful for is that this will be something, unfortunately or fortunately, we've been stuck on having to tell stories regarding COVID just because that's when we launched it. We're starting now to be able to branch out a little bit. Our ideal and our vision is that this is the way for us to tell the story of Pittsburgh community, of this region, and that will be something that, number one, will make the citizens of this community proud of this place. Number two, will be a communication to particularly our alumni at the university who might need some more incentive to come back home, whether that's to visit, invest, or live. And then finally, maybe it's communicating with folks that are in similarly situated communities across this country where America is the greatest that it is, and that is places like Pittsburgh, Kansas. So we were able to launch that. We're technically on our second season. I'd invite you to listen via Spotify or Apple Podcasts or whatever you use. We're on those mediums. And so, for instance, our latest episode that we just launched yesterday is focused on the vaccine. It's an interview with Dr. Tim Stebbins and talking about the vaccine, the rollout, educating folks on the vaccine. And the hope is that we have a local source of information to tell what we know is a great story. We've also had a business conference call with Secretary Toland, who's now Lieutenant Governor Toland. He's a great friend of Pittsburgh, great friend of Southeast Kansas. We also, in April, launched the Crawford County Recovery Task Force. You all may recall that while that has now been endorsed by the County Commission, it was an outgrowth of the Joint City University Advisory Board, and initially was an ad hoc committee of that, focused on the idea of getting the right set of folks, the folks that are the key stakeholder leaders at the table every week to talk about what's going on with the pandemic, how can we thread that needle between not staying just in our basements, but also not being wide open and not impacting our healthcare community. I think it's been a model for this community. Commissioner McNay is serving on that in the capacity of her day job, I guess you could say. And it's been a real pleasure, and it's one of the things, I'll be honest, Blake is serving on as well. It's one of the things that I'm most proud of in a while in my career, frankly, because I feel like it shows the way that Pittsburgh turns out to address big issues. Jay Byers and I serve as co-chairs of that task force. And I feel like it's something that, but for that task force, I don't know that we could have effectively distributed the $7.2 million or $7.4 million that we received in Spark dollars, for instance, as well as the work that we've done with the Crawford County United effort, which is a way in which local businesses, we have 75 plus now that have signed on to commit to mitigation strategies. It's a way in which we hope has helped to keep businesses open while also not overwhelming our healthcare system. And then finally, the HR, is that you?
Yeah, and if you'll recall back in the March, early April timeframe, there was just a lot of confusion. I mean, COVID came fast, and especially for businesses, there was just a lot of confusion on who was going to be closed, who was essential, who wasn't, all the business resources programs, what the state was going to do to help local businesses. So that's why we first of all organized that business conference call with Secretary Lieutenant Governor Tolan. I believe Mayor and Commissioner Brooks, I believe you were able to be on that call. It was an opportunity for those state leaders to really talk directly to our business community about what the plan was and what they had in store. And how the state was going to be able to help our businesses. But the HR conference calls, we're really blessed in our community to have some great HR directors, especially the one you have at the city and Michelle Dupree. There were a lot of unknowns coming at our HR directors and how to handle this from a staffing standpoint. So we had regular conference calls with our HR directors so that they could visit with each other and idea share, because this was something a lot of them had never encountered before. So we really appreciate our companies in the city in particular for letting their HR director be a part of that, because that information sharing really helped all of our local employers be able to handle the staffing of everything as everything was ramping up with COVID.
We were really pleased this year to finally get to a place that we could launch the Idea Shop. This, of course, is the last piece of Block 22 development. This is the piece that's now it's about a third of the foundry space, 18,000 square feet. It's focused on idea creation and those sorts of things. Right now, obviously, because we're under mitigated operations because of the pandemic, we're focusing on that K through 12 in particular market, trying to get students access to things they may not otherwise have access to. We launched, and it was a great launch event. The governor, as well as at the time Secretary Tolan, now Lieutenant Governor Tolan, were here. Our local startup Exemplar in Pittsburgh and Harvey Dean, who are the namesake sponsors of the space. And this was something that we had to put off in the spring because of the pandemic. We were able to have it in a way that was still mitigated any of the challenges, but also allowed for area students to compete in a dragster race car event. We actually now this spring we're going to be launching soon, making the announcement on this, but focused on drone competition. We're working with Pittsburgh on that, and it'll be another opportunity for area 6 through 12, and then also some university students to be involved in creating drones and those sorts of things, and competing on that. And so we think that long term this is going to be a great aspect of Block 22, and it also represents the final last piece of the full launch of Block 22. So we're very excited to have gotten that done.
Last slide, just a kind of a recap of some of the projects that we were pleased to bring you in 2020. The Community Health Center there, that's going to be a game changer for our community as far as what they're doing on their campus and beyond. The other projects there, I won't necessarily read them all to you. The bottom two are two that I know that you get a lot of questions about, so I just wanted to provide a quick update. First of all, Dairy Queen, we as a team have brought close to $500 million in projects to our community, and people get most excited about a new Dairy Queen.
Yes.
So I spoke with Dairy Queen franchise owner today. His construction loan with a local bank, which we appreciate, closes tomorrow. And if they've got all their permits and everything like that in place, they would like to begin construction as early as next week. Now, it's not the ideal time of year to begin a big construction project, but they do almost have their funding ready, and they will be able to proceed to having that built, which I know the community will be excited about. The 525 South Broadway, that's the property just south of Brahms. We are actively marketing that. We are significantly down the road with one particular prospect that would be very good for the community, but we haven't stopped showing it to anyone who may want to see it. So we've shown that building several times. We decided not to proceed with demoing the building until we had a clear idea of what the use was going to be. But I feel like that's going to be a good project for the community and really add to the economic development of our community. So with that, I know Sean or I, either one, would be happy to answer any questions you may have.
Just on, why did we hold off on demolition? I thought it was an eyesore.
It is. Mr. Mayor, we just felt like it would probably be a better idea to know what the future is before people see progress out there and we say, well, we're knocking it down, but we don't know what we're going to do with it yet. But I hope to be able to bring that to you very soon because we do have a promising prospect on it.
All right, thanks.
If I might,
Go ahead.
Mr. Mayor. Just one thing I wanted to mention very quickly. It's a little bit of a sneak peek because we'll be releasing this in a more full media way this week. But the farm show, we do have a multi-year contract. And I wanted to just remind everyone because obviously that fizzled in a way because of having to cancel it. And I think it came off of people's radars. But we signed a multi-year deal. They intend to be here. The plan is in the end of May. And in fact, we'll be doing, hopefully, if all goes well, we'll be doing the media release as well as then some media opportunity on Thursday or Friday morning to be able to do some interviews. So I wanted to make sure that anyone who's questioning those things, that with regard to the farm show, we have it secure. We have it secured for multiple years. And we're really excited and pleased to be able to do that at Pittsburgh State. So just want to make sure everybody got an update on that too.
Thank you, that's good news.
Great.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, guys.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Good job, guys.
Moving on, consider the following. Pitt State University Business Development and Innovation Service Agreement Amendment. Consider approval of the amendment to the Business Development and Innovation Services Agreement between Pittsburgh State University and the City of Pittsburgh, in which PSU will provide support to the city to effectively help create and attract new businesses, industries, and manufacturing concerns to the city, as well as more efficiently promote the expansion and growth of existing businesses and industries already located in the city, extending the expiration date of the agreement to January 25th, 2020.
Mr. Mayor, City Commissioners, this is, I think Blake said for the chamber, they're in their 8th year, and for the university, they're in their 5th year. The next two items are both of those annual contracts. I think you just heard. We've got an effective team going. I think we've been rather successful. I think this year is a good example. The last slide showed several projects that were done, but I think they also showed you that these individuals and their teams were able to step up and help businesses in a new way that none of us saw coming, which was how do we distribute $27 million back into the community that was coming from the federal government to help people with relief as they were suffering through this pandemic. So I've been very happy with the two contracts. Both of these are verbatim where they were last year with the extensions is basically what we're asking you to approve this year because not having a full year of economic development, I think it'd be hard to judge about anything else, but I do think it's been a good relationship and look forward to continuing it and be happy to answer any questions if you have them.
Are there any questions for Darren? Is there a motion to approve?
So move.
Second.
It's been approved by Patrick and second by Dawn. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Aye. All opposed, same sign. Motion passed. Consider,
Unanimous? I'm sorry, was that unanimous?
Yeah.
yes,
Oh, okay.
consider the following. Item B, Pittsburgh Area Chamber of Commerce Economic Development Service Agreement Amendment. Consider approval of an amendment to the Economic Development Service Agreement between the Pittsburgh Area Chamber of Commerce and the City of Pittsburgh, in which the Chamber will perform services related to the location and retention of industry, manufacturing, and retail business in the city, extending the expiration date of the agreement to January 25th, 2022.
Nothing to add.
All right.
I'm happy to answer any questions.
Is there any questions for Darren? Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Been moved by Larry, seconded by Chuck. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Consider the following. Item C, letter agreement. Consider approval of a letter agreement for the city manager for the calendar year 2021. I'd like to read what the letter agreement states. The letter will amend, dear Darren, the letter will amend your November 26, 2019 employment agreement and serve as the successor agreement between you and the city of Pittsburgh regarding the terms and conditions of your continued employment as city manager. These terms and conditions are as follows, to wit. You agree to be, number one, you agree to abide by the policies and procedures set forth in the City of Pittsburgh Employee Handbook and amendments thereto. Item 2, an annual salary of $155,295 reflects 2% COLA for full-time employees. Number 3, the city will pay the full month health insurance premium for you and your family, subject to all benefits, terms, and exclusions. Number 4, if you desire to attend, the city will pay your registration fee and expenses to the annual International City Managers Association Conference, National League of Cities Annual Conference, League of Kansas Municipalities Annual Conference, and annual conferences of the Kansas Association of City Managers. Should your spouse choose to attend any of the conferences other than the League of Kansas Municipality Annual Meeting, you will be responsible for her transportation and expenses. The city will pay for membership to one local community service organization of your choice. The city will pay for full family golf membership at Crestwood Country Club. If you incur expenses at Crestwood Country Club for other than city business, you will be responsible for those expenses. Number 7, the city will pay up to $1,100 maximum towards a family membership to any health and fitness organization in Pittsburgh on an annual basis. Number 8, in the event of your employment is terminated by the city for other than malfeasance of office, the commission of an illegal act or violation of city policy per employee handbook, the city will pay your unused accrued vacation time, 9 months salary minus standard withholding and taxes, plus health benefits and medical and dental for you and your family for 9 months as severance pay. A reduction in pay or benefits which applies proportionally to all city employees shall not be construed as a termination of employment. Number 9, should you voluntarily terminate your employment with the city of Pittsburgh, you agree to provide the city with at least 30 days advance written notice. Number 10, the city will pay you an automobile expense allowance at the rate of $600 per month, plus the current state of Kansas allowance per mile for travel outside the city limits on municipal government business only. To qualify for the automobile expense allowance, the automobile must be registered in your name. It must be a 4-door, no less than a mid-size class, and no more than 10 model years old. You will be responsible for all expenses related to the automobile, including maintenance and insurance. A certificate of insurance shall be submitted to the city clerk, evidencing current coverage for the automobile, which shall meet or exceed the minimum liability requirements as determined by the Kansas Tort Claims Act. Number 11, the city will provide you and all standard fringe benefits available to city employees. Any optional benefits available to city employees will be available to you at your cost and expense. Number 12, you will accrue vacation in accordance with normal city policy. Number 13, the city will pay for an annual amount of 10% of your annual gross salary to the deferred compensation plan of the ICMA Retirement Corporation. On behalf of the city and staff, I would like to thank you for your service to the city of Pittsburgh. And that's the letter of agreement for the city manager. I will ask Henry, I understand there's a few questions that would like to be addressed. Is that something that we can ask in an open meeting?
Yes, I mean, you can ask any questions that you like.
Okay?
Henry, I have something that goes towards process and procedure, just for a point of information. We didn't have the opportunity to discuss additional benefits in this compared to the contracts from previous years.
We didn't add any. We didn't change any benefits. All we changed was salary and,
No, there's a change compared to the years prior on number 7. So that's my only question.
I'm not sure what your question is, though.
Okay. In order to vote on this, to approve, which I just wanted to know if there was a process or procedure or a point of information, because there is a change on line 7 compared to years past where it's been a different amount. So at what point did this change? Because everyone prior to this had a different amount on number 7.
That's what I was
At what point?
informed that it was going to be, and I informed HR that it was going to be, and HR made that change. So
Okay,
if,
so can you, what is number 7?
you have it in front of you.
No, I have it on my phone.
that is the
Family membership.
increase in the
club.
maximum towards
Yes,
the family
we talked
membership
about
to a
that.
health and fitness
When?
organization.
In executive session, there were 2 things that we talked about. That was one of them.
Yeah, we did.
So
We're not allowed to talk about what we talked about in executive session.
I'm just saying that we talked
So
about.
that's where I'm confused, because I do not recall that. I remember everything else that was discussed, but not that. We didn't discuss the contract at all. Not this right here. So that's my only question, as far as just what the process is. I just needed you to help me understand that.
Well, the process was,
I mean, yeah,
Wait a minute.
well, I'm telling you what the process is.
I asked Henry, though.
I mean, I just told you what the process was, so.
Okay, so you were informed that that line was going to change
Yeah, that.
by HR? Or where did that come up at?
Came
that
from
up
us.
From
Came from
Commissioner
us.
McNay, who took the lead in organizing the review this year.
I don't want to discuss what happened in executive session, but that came from us, was I've heard. Would that require, and we don't make any decisions or vote in executive session, so I don't understand how this change occurred. It's just something now that we're going to vote on. You see what I'm saying?
No, not really. No, I don't.
I don't mean to be confusing, but like I said, I was at this meeting, and I do not remember discussing this at all. The other things that we did discuss, I'm not at liberty to say right this moment, because I don't feel like it's appropriate, because we're not to discuss what's behind, in the
Well, I was
executive
at that
session.
meeting, and I remember discussing it, Cheryl, and I'm not trying to
No,
do anything.
I'm
but-
just, like I said, I
but-
remember everything else we went over, and
Yeah.
at what point did this come up? I
During
just
our
don't.
discussion.
Did you have another question?
So we
Because I
just,
think, I don't know how we're going to resolve this.
No, that's fine.
Okay.
I just wanted to know at what point was it discussed,
It was
because
in
I
our
was
fir-
there, and
yeah.
I know we talked about a lot of things, but that was not, I do not remember us going over each one of these things, and
We did not. There were 2 items on that were pertinent to this year's letter agreement. And they're the 2 changes on that letter agreement. And those are the 2 things we talked about.
so evidently we discussed it. We did not make any votes or
No.
recommendations.
Right.
That's what this is about tonight.
Correct.
We discussed, evidently, I don't remember it either, but that was discussed. Here's my comment on that. And everybody knows that I've always been for whatever raise for the city manager should be the same percentage as all employees. Matter of fact, years ago, on other commission, that was discussed, that we can't continue to raise the city manager at the levels we were raising. We needed to get on some kind of a schedule with the other staff, city employees. I take it that that meant, whatever we budgeted, 2% raise, that would include the city manager as a full-time employee. And that's what this is about. So I am in favor, and yes, Don, I know you asked me a question, but I'm in favor of, because I've always said it should be the same percentage. So I am in favor of that. And Patrick, you asked me a question. I won't say what the question is, but you asked me a question. No, Don asked me the question. I don't have to discuss the question. But Patrick, you made the comment that my vote doesn't matter. That's kind of, you know, it takes me back as one commissioner telling another commissioner that his vote doesn't matter.
Let me,
My vote,
let
I'm
me
talking,
interrupt you.
I'm talking.
I'm like
You
Cheryl.
can finish?
I don't remember that.
Okay, well, does anybody else remember that?
No, I don't.
Well, I didn't figure you two would, but I definitely do remember that. And here's my thing that maybe this will jog your memory, Patrick. When you told me my vote doesn't matter, I said, really? My vote doesn't matter. My vote will matter one of these days, and my vote has mattered to the people who elect me. So for you to say my vote doesn't matter, I find that rather offensive, Patrick, and I wouldn't say that to you. Your votes matter, even though I don't always agree with what you have to say. A vote matters, yay or nay. And for you to say my vote doesn't matter because I vote nay when I feel that's what I should do, I'm offended by what you had to say. And getting to the point.
Good, good.
All right?
I said, good, let's get to the point, so I can bear mine.
Okay. Oh, so getting to the point. Like I said, I'm in favor of the 2% raise. I don't agree with raising a perk, which the perk would be something that evidently was supposedly discussed, but now we're going to vote on it. So I don't agree during a pandemic that we raise a perk. And the perk would be this, going from $380 for this family membership to the fitness organization, to raising that to $1,100. So I would be in favor of the raise, 2%, which I've always stated should be the same for all employees. I'm just not in favor of that raise on this family membership.
Are you through?
Do what?
I said, are you through? Now can I talk?
Go ahead, Patrick, by all means.
I'm like Cheryl. I have no recollection of telling you your vote didn't count because your vote counts the same as everybody else's vote. It's one vote, like Don's,
Right.
like Cheryl's. And, you know, I think it's misstating something for whatever reason.
Who misstated it?
You misstated it. That
No,
I
I know what I heard. You don't remember what I heard, but I know what I heard.
Well, you don't remember evidently other things in the meeting either.
What would that be?
You just talked about it with Cheryl.
Number 7, you don't remember
Number
number
seven.
7.
I really didn't hear, I don't remember
Yeah.
talking about it.
Well-
I'm sorry,
I don't
I didn't mean to
disagree with
cause
that.
a
Believe me.
thing, I just don't remember talking
I
about it.
understand
There
that.
was so
We
much
haven't-
information
talked
that
about
we
a lot
went
of
over.
stuff.
Believe me, if you was an elected commissioner and another commissioner makes a comment that your vote don't matter, I would guarantee you would remember that, just like I did. So,
I would like to move to approve the letter agreement with the city manager for.
so
calendar year.
moving on, I would like to entertain a motion for approval of this
So
letter
moved.
agreement.
So moved.
I second.
It's been moved and second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Aye.
See, your vote did count.
Yeah, I know, even though you said it doesn't. It does count, Patrick.
Yeah, I have
Thank
just
you.
a couple things under non-agenda.
Ask me? Sure, go ahead.
Okay. First of all, I'd like to express thank you on behalf of Community Health to Lieutenant Chris Moore. He came yesterday and visited with our pharmacy staff. You may remember we got robbed about a month and a half ago, and he was really able to talk with the staff, I don't know if Brent's still here, and kind of give them some ideas. He identified a couple areas we need to work on, and they were very grateful, so I wanna thank you for that. Also, I wanna congratulate our videographer. I don't know if you've seen our video on the Dragon Net, but with the school district, it's an excellent video, and that's a really great project. Third thing out of 4, last month I congratulated those in our family for the Women of Distinction, but I overlooked Monica Holmes, so we want to shout out for her. And now that, and congratulate Larissa, you're official now because you're on the paper. And didn't know if you wanted to introduce your replacement.
Good evening, Mayor, Commissioners. Thank you very much for the opportunity. I would like to introduce Joe Wimmer. He is going to be our new Deputy Finance Director, and we're very excited for him to join the finance team. He's worked for the City of Fort Collins and most recently the City of Topeka. And so we are very excited for his skill set and
Great.
for him joining our team.
Welcome.
Welcome.
Thanks, I'm a Pittsburgh native, so it's good to be back in the hometown.
Good.
All right, good deal. Thank you, Larissa.
Thank you. One more thing I would like to share with you is that we did receive our sales tax numbers, and we are up 12.63%.
Holy moly.
And the majority of that is the use tax, which is the online sales. So starting
deal.
the year off in a good start, so
Good
thank
deal,
you.
good deal. Thank you.
Good job, Larissa.
You have anything, Darren?
Welcome aboard, Joe. No.
All right. I'll entertain a motion to adjourn. I also move a motion to adjourn. We are adjourned.